I think I'm going to come out with a hot take here, but even though I really like Polyphia and I think that their modern style that mixes hip-hop with the hybrid picking riffs and even with the whole nylon string shreddy thing is really cool, I kinda like their older songs better. I mean, sure, part of it is probably nostalgia based, because back in the day songs like Aviator, Champagne, and James Franco were really influential to me. Obviously songs like Goat and Playing God are legendary modern standards at this point, and I have huge levels of respect for Tim and Scott for bringing back guitar into a more mainstream modern audience. Those older songs still have a big spot in my heart. With that being said, being a guitar player in modern days, it's kinda difficult to not hear those Polyphia songs, and in my case as a teacher, I've taught plenty of them over the years, and even found myself occasionally doing some riffs, especially when I'm doing hybrid picking and trying to do some more chordal stuff, and feeling like this could probably do a cool Polyphia riff if I was trying to compose in that style. And an example of that would be my latest release song, I'll Meet You at the Top of the World, which if you haven't, you can and should go check out anywhere to listen to your music at, where I was honestly just working around in E minor with this like A minor shape on the 7th fret, and I was just trying to do like these dyad shapes and doing these melodies alongside with chords, and I figured out this riff that I'm going to play with you afterwards, just not in E minor, because I then transposed it to D minor and thought it sounded cool in D, and while working on it, I then put my own twist on it, and suddenly the whole Polyphia vibes disappeared, and the whole song actually gave me a more epic and almost Pirates of the Caribbean vibe. There's even another video that you can go check out about it, which, at least in my opinion, is anything but Polyphia, but I always find it kind of funny to look back into this song and think this actually started as like a Polyphia riff, just lost it along the way. Which goes to show to you guys that when you're trying to figure out a song or a riff, even if you're inspired by something, you can very easily take your inspiration of another band or another artist and completely mold it into something that is very much your own, and not having to worry about it being very close to something else. Oh, and here's the riff that I mentioned, but like I usually say with these things, it makes much more sense within the context of the whole song, so I would highly advise that you go check out the whole song. Would you say you're more of a modern Polyphia fan or an old school Polyphia fan? Let me know. While you're at it, don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe, turn on all the notifications, follow and stay tuned for more, because I'm releasing new songs every week and I'm releasing new videos every day, twice a day. If you enjoyed this one, I'm sure you'll like the other ones too, so perhaps even share them with a friend who might also enjoy them. In case it wasn't obvious already, go check out my latest release song, I'll Meet You at the Top of the World, anywhere you listen to your music at, and I want to once again take the time to thank you guys so much for all the support in these songs and videos. I can only thank you guys so much, but it really means a lot and it really makes a difference. I can only hope to see you in another video, but until then, cheers! Let me know if this happens to you too. Obviously, every instrument is going to be having keys that are easier to play in than others. There are just some tones and vibes specific to that key and instrument, like maybe the key of E in the guitar because of all these open strings that are not only instantly recognizable, but perhaps due to just regular vibes and even maybe cultural bias, we end up feeling like they just sound better. But does it happen to you that when you play in a specific key, you kind of get these unshakable vibes and whatever you play just keeps reminding you of that thing? Because every time I play in D minor or even perhaps D harmonic minor, I always get reminded of Pirates of the Caribbean, which on one hand makes sense. Hans Zimmer loves the key of D, and the Pirates score features a lot of D minor and D harmonic minor, and I grew up often watching the Pirates movies, so obviously I would be influenced by it. And I've mentioned some of my other songs like In Momentum and perhaps The One, where I was actively trying to get that more epic and pirate vibe. But when it comes to my latest release song, I'll Meet You at the Top of the World, which if you haven't, you can and should go check out anywhere to listen to your music at, the whole song often switches keys, but for the most part home is in D, specifically, again, for the most part, D minor. And I've mentioned the artist who influenced the main riff of the song in another video, which you can go check out. And originally I was playing the main riff of the song in E, but even though it sounded cool, it just didn't really have the vibe that I was looking for, so I then switched it to the key of D and it got way closer to it. But as I kept repeating it and playing it, I just thought to myself, damn, I'm doing another Pirates ripoff. So I showed it to a bunch of people and was like, does this remind you of the Pirates score? And all of them were like, not really. Some of them even said, I kinda get what you mean, but I really wouldn't have thought about it if you didn't say it. And that's when I noticed that most of my songs in D minor that kinda have this D minor, D harmonic minor sort of vibe really have Pirates vibes to me. I love video game and film scores, but this is the only real example where every time I play in this key, I get reminded of it. I even tuned the guitar down to play in a different key and see if I could shake off that feeling, and I kinda did, but it didn't really sound as cool if it wasn't in D minor. So yeah, when I think of the whole song, I don't really get Pirates of the Caribbean vibes just from the riffs, and like I said, I even have other riffs that I do feel like do match that vibe way better. But when I start playing these and other D minor riffs, I just get transported back into my childhood, into that Hans Zimmer Disney mystical Johnny Depp while fighting both ship wars in the middle of the ocean. Oh yeah, and here's a little clip of the song, but like I mentioned before, you kinda have to listen to the whole thing to really get the vibes. Is this something that happens with you too, where you kind of associate specific scales and specific keys to a vibe or riff or movie or whatever it is? Let me know. And while you're at it, don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe, turn on all the notifications, follow and stay tuned for more because I'm releasing new songs every week and I'm releasing new videos every day, twice a day. If you enjoyed this one, I'm sure you'll like the other ones too, so perhaps even share them with a friend who might also enjoy them. In case it wasn't obvious already, go check out my latest release song, I'll Meet You at the Top of the World, anywhere to listen to your music at, and I want to once again take the time to thank you guys so much for all the support in these songs and videos. I can only thank you guys so much, but it really means a lot and it really makes a difference. I can only really hope to see you in another video, but until then, cheers! If you've watched any of my other videos, you know that I'm not the most technical guitar player. Sure, I can do some shredding here and there, and I do like to practice my techniques and the technical side of my playing, but I'm definitely not one of those dudes that actively practices like Polyphia songs or Jason Richardson songs. I kinda just do my thing. Sure, I had a time where I would practice like Megadeth songs, and I still kinda do when I want to get my chops back together, but nowadays my guitar playing practice is not really more on the technical side, and if it is, it's more for me to be able to play whatever I feel like I should play for my songs or for something that I'm working on, rather than trying to learn this entire song just for the sake of it. And I've mentioned in some other videos that I have some songs or riffs that are kind of tricky to play, but none of them compare to my latest release song, I'll Meet You at the Top of the World, which if you haven't, you can and should go check out anywhere to listen to your music at. This song probably has my hardest riff so far, and it's not even like a main part, it's like the background of the verse. Maybe the riff or melody in the chorus or the main riff has like this intricate part, but no, we're talking about the verse. The song is around D minor, and I'm doing these chords in D minor, which aren't fancy at all. It starts out with like a D sus2, or perhaps, depending on the context, like a D minor at 9. Then I'm switching up the bass to have like a B flat on the bass, a G on the bass, an F on the bass, and then go to an A7. And even with like chord shapes that aren't really complicated at all. I'm doing your regular like D sus2 chord shape, just with different fingers, and I'm switching up the bass in chord shapes that aren't really too hard. Again, nothing complicated at all. But what makes it very tricky is that we're doing 5-note groupings in a very fast tempo. In fact, let me show you how the chords sound. The melody will kick in at some point, but it's still the same vibe of chords playing underneath, even if the bass notes of the chords might change slightly. I've mentioned that most of these songs are kind of old, like anywhere between 8 to 6 or 5 years old, and this song was actually one of the songs that I recorded the latest, and I had the whole song notated down and programmed and kind of composed in a digital drawer for years until I actually recorded it, and I kind of had this idea of how the song went, but I kind of forgot over the years. When I went to record it, I heard that section and I was like, oh yeah, that's that section in 5s, right? Yeah. But when I went to record it, suddenly my skills for playing it just completely disappeared. And I remembered that I could play it when I composed the song, because I usually notate all my songs first and compose all the parts around it before I record it, and I wouldn't really notate a part that I couldn't play. I don't really do that because, like I mentioned before, I don't practice the technical part of my playing that much nowadays. So even back then, I was far beyond the days of programming something that I couldn't play and then leave that problem in a very Simpsons way to a future Homer. Especially because, for the sake of tracking, you kind of have to record things multiple times to get a thicker sound. So to get something like this, which is very fast, and get it tight and recorded right, it still kind of stresses me out to think about it. If I had to play these songs live, honestly, I would kind of try to just play the melody and throw that part to the rhythm guitarist like, yeah, no, I'm sure you can play it, bro. If I hired you, you're probably good enough to play it. Like, this is not hard for you. But yeah, I know that this song is probably one of the songs that has my hardest sections on it. Has something like this happened to you where you compose a part and you think it's pretty easy to play, but then when you actually go to play it, it turns out to be way more difficult than you thought? Let me know. And while you're at it, don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe, turn on all the notifications, follow and stay tuned for more, because I'm releasing new songs every week and I'm releasing new videos every day, twice a day. If you enjoyed this one, I'm sure you'll like the other ones too, so perhaps even share them with a friend who might also enjoy them. In case it wasn't obvious already, go check out my latest release song, I'll Meet You at the Top of the World, anywhere you listen to your music at. And I want to once again take some time to thank you guys so much for all the support in these songs and videos. I can only thank you guys so much, but it really means a lot and it really makes a difference. I can only hope to see you in another video, but until then, cheers! You should always do this, but especially when you're doing instrumental music, you should make it so that your riffs kind of connect into each other and give you that sense of cohesion within the song, so that it doesn't just sound like you threw a bunch of riffs into a track and here's a salad/collection of riffs for a listener to listen to. And hey, I get it, the inspiration to do songwriting doesn't always come at the best moment, and sometimes you might be working on the song and get these ideas for riffs that would fit well into other songs, but just not for the song that you're working on. But hey, at some point magic has to happen and lightning has to strike, and you have this session where riffs are just flowing into each other, and maybe that happens often to you, but to me it really doesn't happen that often. It happened once with an older song of mine in Momentum, where I had this riff for years that I just couldn't figure out how to use, and suddenly out of nowhere I wasn't even thinking of that one riff, but I just played these other chords and I was like, these actually connect very well to that old ass riff, and the whole song kind of wrote itself in like 20 minutes. But doing a whole song that fast hasn't happened in a while. But something interesting did happen with my latest release song, I'll Meet You at the Top of the World, which if you haven't, you can and should go check out anywhere you listen to your music at, where I was just working around this one riff in the key of D minor, and I was playing around with the A shape of the D minor chord here on the 5th fret of the 5th string, and while searching for different vibes, I ended up figuring out a connection between the main riff and this other bridge riff. And while working around the shapes of the bridge riff, I ended up figuring out this other riff that I use for a more mystical and epic section near the end of the song. And going back to the main riff while figuring out melody variations, I ended up figuring out this one that I comped with these lower inversion chords. And while just playing around with these different chord inversions, I ended up figuring out the chords that led to the intro of the song and led around to the breakdown of the song. Oh, and remember that more epic mystical riff that I told you about? While playing around with some of those chord shapes, I actually ended up figuring out this cool way to transition into the last chorus where I do these different key changes that completely change the vibe of the song. I then found this interesting chord progression / riff in 5/8. That became the bridge of the song, and that 5/8 pattern actually influenced the verse of the song. And know what? While working on the verse of the song, while doing those 5/8 chords, I had to figure out a melody to play over them, and I found out this melody that I then played and modified like a theme over different parts of the song. Not only the pre-chorus bridge part, but even in the breakdown of the song. I've talked before about using themes on your songs, but this song of mine, my latest release song, is pretty much a bunch of different themes woven in together, almost as if different spiders were doing their own little webs that then crossed into each other, and now you have this whole intricate system that is connected. You see it as a one thing, but if you break it down, it's different little webs by different spiders, aka different little themes and melodies coming from different little riffs that then connect into each other and mold themselves into different versions of themselves. Which at least I think is very cool, and is perhaps something that you can try with your own song. Is this something that you've tried before? Let me know. And while you're at it, don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe, turn on all the notifications, follow and stay tuned for more because I'm releasing new songs every week and I'm releasing new videos every day, twice a day. If you enjoyed this one, I'm sure you'll like the other ones too. So perhaps even share them with a friend who might also enjoy them. In case it wasn't obvious already, go check out my latest release song. I'll meet you at the top of the world, anywhere to listen to your music at. And I want to once again take the time to thank you guys so much for all the support in these songs and videos. I can only thank you guys so much, but it really means a lot and it really makes a difference. I can only hope to see you in another video, but until then, cheers! Is to do an interesting second verse. I think one of the biggest struggles that songwriters trying to compose within the more contemporary structure of songwriting, we always worry about the chorus because the chorus has to be amazing and catchy and whatever. For those of us who still worry about intros or pre-chorus or even bridges, sure, you always want to make those interesting and not leave the listener just wanting to move on to another song or to just move forward within the song. And of course you have the verse section, which to do one verse is kind of easy, but when it comes to the second verse, you don't just want to repeat whatever you've done in the first verse because otherwise it's just kind of boring. And I don't even mean boring like a modern day-to-day brain rot addiction way. I mean boring as in if you're just going to repeat the same thing with just different lyrics, then what is really the point of it? You should try and make it interesting, especially if you're like me and you're composing instrumentally, so there's not even a different lyric for you to focus on. When it comes to guitar-based music, kind of easy to just do a verse and have a little melody for you to focus the listener on. And when you get to the second verse, you just do the melody bit for a little bit, and then you kind of just solo over those chords. But I kind of don't want to do that, at least like all the time, because on one hand I would just be repeating myself and I don't really like that, and like I mentioned before, I don't want things to just be boring. So I usually try to do something different with my verses, especially when I get to the second or third verse, and I've done other videos about it explaining my process to do it. But I think these are probably the best verse melodies that I've ever done. And they're on my latest release song, I'll Meet You at the Top of the World, which if you haven't, you can ensure to go check out anywhere to listen to your music at. Again, not trying to just lead you on to watching some of my other videos, but I've talked about how I got to all these different sections of the song in a different video. But when it comes to the first verse, I had these chords, and they're actually over like a 5/8 pattern, and it's actually a pretty fast section. So I wanted to have a melody that would be somewhat repetitive, so the listener could really glue themselves into it. And I also wanted it to be a melody that I could also use in other sections as well. Here's a little clip of the first verse. case you didn't notice it, it's a little bit polyrhythmical, which could be confusing, but I think sounds cool. But then when it came to the second verse, I was again thinking to myself, what am I going to do? What should I do with it? What if I just forget about the chorus and I just take the melody and I just try to find a way to progress with it, instead of just keeping it repetitive all the way through, because we already repeated it in the other verse and we already started with it for the second verse. I kind of just have to figure out a way to expand on it, but having it still be something that connects with people. So I tried to connect with myself. I recorded the melody, then would listen to it and try to either sing something afterwards or audiate something. I wouldn't say necessarily like a call and response thing, but it wouldn't be too far off from it, and not really worry about scales or chords or arpeggios or even time signatures. Just go with whatever the inner me felt. And I actually ended up with this that has some very interesting melody structures. It has a key change or two in there, some interesting chords to accompany it, which I then took the melody and grabbed some chords that I thought would sound cool and match the vibe of it and just added them underneath with the same pattern over it. And maybe it's just me because, you know, I'm biased, but I think that for a section that could just be very chaotic with everything going on, the melody itself that acts as a through line throughout the entire section, to me ended up feeling as something that was very beautiful, super epic, very melodic, and not trying to be a narcissist, but every time I showed it to someone, they were all like, damn, that melody really touched me. It really is a cool part. So let me know what you think. Do you have a specific way you do your second verses? Let me know. While you're at it, don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe, turn on all the notifications, follow and stay tuned for more, because I'm releasing new songs every week and I'm releasing new videos every day, twice a day. If you enjoyed this one, I'm sure you'll like the other ones too. And while you're at it, perhaps even share it with a friend who might also enjoy them. In case it wasn't obvious already, go check out my latest released song, I'll Meet You at the Top of the World, anywhere you listen to your music at. And I want to once again take the time to thank you guys so much for all the support in these songs and videos. I can only thank you guys so much, but it really means a lot and it really makes a difference. I can only hope to see you in another video, but until then, cheers! I released a song called I'll Meet You at the Top of the World, which if you haven't, you can and should go check out anywhere to listen to your music at. And along with it, I've released a bunch of videos, not only with lessons, playthrough clips, some stories, tips and tricks, even a full playthrough / music video on my YouTube channel. I really need to thank you guys once again for all the support in these songs and videos. I can only thank you guys so much, but it really means a lot and it really makes a difference. And I can only hope to see you in another video, but until then, I really hope you leave a like, comment, subscribe, turn on all the notifications, follow and stay tuned for more, because I'm releasing new songs every week and I'm releasing new videos every day, twice a day. If you've been enjoying any of them, I'm sure you'll like the other ones too, so perhaps even share them with a friend who might also enjoy them. And until we see each other in another video, cheers!